Does your first project pretty much have to be self-financed to get your foot in the door?
I think there's a lot of different ways to go about having, a film. Well, I don't know if I would call it a career. Let's just call it a career just to stay positive. Um, your journey. I like to call it
Yeah,
a filmmaking journey as opposed to career, I guess. So yeah, there's lots of different ways to approach that. In Australia, like the way that I've seen one approach is to make a really good short film that'll get you into a really prestigious film school, like AFTRS. Then AFTRS used to be the golden key. Like once you got into AFTRS and made a short and it won a bunch of awards, you were pretty guaranteed to be making a feature. Through financing through Screen Australia, but it's gotten so much more competitive. There's just so many more people wanting to make movies that that doesn't guarantee that just because you've been to AFTRS that you're going to make a feature film. But it is a really, it's a good calling card, making a short film that wins a lot of awards on the festival circuit.
yeah,
So that's one way to go through Screen Australia, but there's a lot more Australians, a lot more filmmakers, and they have been for particularly, like I've mentioned before in other conversations I've had, that I've been very inspired by the American independent filmmaking movement that happened. I mean, it's been happening since the 60s, the 70s. When I started film school in the 90s, there were filmmakers coming out of the 80s that were doing really interesting things. And they were making their movies with finding investors, like finding either
yeah,
self-financing or finding investors, because there's no government funding in America. So they're pretty stuck. If you're wanting to make a movie, you've got to find other ways of doing it. And so that inspired me. And I knew because I was already over in North America when I was in film school, that when I came to Australia, I already had I was very motivated to make my film with that kind of freedom, without having to go to a government funding body, without having to have my script go through panels and other people reading it and other people deciding whether or not it was good enough to be made. I just wanted to make it without any of that. So
yeah,
that's another way of going about it. And then you've got that your film, when you've made it that way, like independently, that it's going to actually hit it out of the park when it does get out into the world, into festivals, and you hope it'll get picked up for distribution and all of that. Because I made a feature, my
yeah.
first feature, and it didn't get picked up for distribution. So that was super disappointing, because I'd spent 5 years of my life making it.